I just figured out the comments thing, so we're good on that.
You figured out what?
The comments thing that wasn't working last week.
Oh, okay.
Awesome.
So
Great.
it was interesting.
So I got a question for Ben.
What's going on?
You can give us a split screen. For a while there, we were looking at Scott and Rich. Can you divide that anymore?
No, it depends on who's talking. So it only does that if it detects somebody else talking.
Oh,
So it only does that if like, say
Hey,
Scott's
Dean.
talking and then I'm talking. It should, I see how it did that. Because it sees I'm talking and then it saw Scott talking
Dean.
earlier.
okay.
Hey, Gene, I got you on speakerphone. It's something wrong with your internet connection because we have everybody else here at the meeting, including Ray and Jason. So we're up. It's just, we don't have you. So it's something from you to hear. So we got two options, I guess, and I'm gonna leave it up to you. You're the chair. You can do it over the phone, or we can, we don't have a vice chair, so we'll have to bail till probably Wednesday.
Let's just do it over the phone, that's okay.
Should we have him call? Can he call in on this phone?
That'd be louder than on that phone.
Because this used to be like
He can also just join on the Zoom call.
calling on Zoom.
Yeah.
Sure, it isn't our internet on this end.
I don't think he has the internet. He can't get in on the Zoom if he can.
We should be able to
No.
call.
So you can call into.
Oh, Gene, there's a number on that Zoom, a telephone number you could call into, and you would be louder and come across the speakers better.
Okay,
Just dial into that number. There, inside that email, not just the Zoom spot, but there's a telephone number you can call, and I think you gotta put it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Try that, and if not, call me back and we'll struggle through this. Yep. Tap on the one tap. When you hang up from me, tap on the one tap, and you may have to put that code in, so you might want to write that down first.
maybe that's 863. Even when I tried that, it didn't work. When I tried to get back in, but,
Okay.
so the, dial that on my cell phone or tap it on
Do it on your cell phone.
Just do it on your cell phone, just tap that and you'll come in, and then you'll be up on the speakers on the screen. We won't see you, but it'll be just like a telephone call, but we'll be able to hear you better.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Fine.
So yeah, his internet must be down, huh?
Yeah, he thinks that he may have lost his internet. Happens. Yeah, perfect time.
Yeah.
He was there. He was there. So I had Jeff, I said, how was your day? He said, well, he says, I played point guard in the first 2 games. He said, did okay. He said, I didn't get very many rebounds. But I think I got 10 assists in both. 15 points the first game and 14 the second.
Wow.
I said, well, did they move you over to the 2? Yeah, he says, we moved him over. He said, for 27. He's a gym rat, and it's like, you can just.
Like 15 to 14.
Well, he doesn't like playing poker because he just shooting. Well, that's like you really not going to shoot, but your dad makes it. Sure.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Dean.
You can hear me now?
Got you, we got you real good.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's on this end. I got a sign on my computer too. It says no internet. So, all right. So are we all ready then? Do we have Chantel said she was having trouble with on.
She's in.
on
She-
YouTube?
She's in. I already just got sent her a text too. She's okay.
Okay,
I'm sure Jared's there too.
all right. Well, with that, let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
And
republic.
to the republic for which it stands,
One
one
nation,
nation, under God, indivisible,
with
with
liberty.
liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, again. With this being the anniversary of the first report of a COVID case in the state of Iowa, let's take a moment of silence to remember the plus 500,000 people that we've lost in this nation. Okay, thank yous for that. First thing we have is the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
I'd like to remove item 8 as it's a duplicate to item 6.
Remove item 8 totally?
Yeah, because it's actually number 6.
Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, all right, good enough. All right, that has been removed. Is there any other thing else? If not, we're in order for a motion to approve the corrected agenda.
With that correction, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, next we have is approval of the minutes.
I thought the minutes read well. I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. If no one else has any objections, I will make a motion for approval of the minutes for the March 1st meeting.
Okay. So
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay. Next is the ISIX project update.
Thank you. We have Dave Wotelko and Ray Freeman from Motorola and Ray Freeman Communications Consulting, respectfully. We'll let Dave advise the board on the Motorola side what the latest and greatest news is.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for having me. Yeah, we're at an exciting time in the project. We're nearing, quite honestly, completion, and we're getting to the point where we're going to be testing the system. But since the last time I was able to provide an update to you, the COVID delays that we had to shipments previously that we reported, those have all been resolved and all equipment arrived on site. So we were able to proceed with installations. For subscribers, as we previously reported, the fire department mobile installations are complete. Since then, we've also completed the school radio programming, and all of those installs are now complete. We've received a fleet map for the sheriff and PD, and those templates are in process with programming installation to follow. For dispatch, no change at dispatch. The previous report we provided was that it was complete, and really no change there. We do have just some things to button up in the back room, just some cable cleanup and things of that nature before we close the project. But those are on our radar to get that done before we close things out. For the sites, I don't want to steal Jason or Ray's thunder, but they turned the sites over to us from a civil perspective and gave us free reign to go about our business on antenna and line installations, equipment installations, and microwave system installation. For antenna and lines, all of that work is complete for both the Astro system at Manning, Coon Rapids, and Lanesboro, and also the VHF system at those sites, as well as the Carroll ISIX and Audubon ISIX sites. For the microwave system, we're nearly complete there. All of the sites are installed, and all of the hops have been tested with one exception, and that's the Manning site. They work there through the weekend, and the dish and lines are all installed, and pathing and alignment will be taking place today. So once manning is complete, they'll test the full connectivity for the microwave system, and then we'll be closing that one down. So that was real good news to get from a report from Aviat this morning. All RF equipment has been installed in all of the shelters in all 5 sites. All of the like I said, all of the equipment's been installed at Coon Rapids and Lanesboro. We're nearing optimization. Lanesboro is up and in wide trunking, so that one is complete. Coon Rapids, we expect to be up and in wide trunking by close of business today, barring anything unforeseen. And Manning, we anticipate will have up and wide by midweek. The focus then will be going and finalizing the optimization of the VHF paging equipment, but we want to make sure that we have the voice system up and operational because we're gearing up for the coverage acceptance test procedure, the CATP, which we'll be conducting the week of March 22nd. We also want to make sure we have everything up and operational for train the trainer training that'll be taking place just prior to the CATP. And again, I don't want to steal Jason's thunder here, but that'll be coming as well. And then one of the final things we'll be doing is we'll schedule a third party on site to actually inspect our installation via an R56 audit. And they're just going to ensure that we've installed everything to the R56 standard throughout our installation. And we'll provide a report to the county on that and correct any deficiencies that are noted. Went through that fast. Any questions?
Is there going to be a follow-up test on the coverage after foliage gets on the trees?
There is not one plan, no. Really, the conversation is going to be centered around, how much did we pass by? If we do this test and we go through the county and we exceed expectations, say we come in at 99%, everybody's going to feel very comfortable. If we come in on the hairy edge at 95%, then we'll definitely be talking about a retest. We anticipate that we're going to pass with flying colors.
Any other questions?
Chairman, if it's okay, I think we'll let, first of all, I'll just comment that, that's the coverage and acceptance and the foliage question is something Ray and I have discussed, and what Dave described there is something we feel comfortable with. Given Ray's experience with Motorola coverage, the coverage test, or rather the coverage maps they've provided ahead of time, Ray's own coverage maps, and we'll be interested to see how that coverage testing all comes in. One thing that Motorola is going to do on that coverage testing also is we're going to be testing the fire districts where our fire districts, or fire districts out of our county, or I should say fire departments out of our county, go into neighboring counties. We'll be testing those areas. They won't count against Motorola for coverage, but they will give us an idea of what the coverage is like in those areas, so that our responders have an idea of what it's like, and so that if we have any complaints or any issues, we're able to go back and reference that test later. So, but I will let Ray speak now about his update.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you all again. Just to recap that last discussion on the coverage testing. Yes, Jason and I and Dave have talked about it quite a bit. And for example, what we saw over in Boone County, which is a similar ISIX configuration, if you will, in terms of tower sites. The big difference, of course, being there was no ISIX site, state-owned site to begin with, but they ended up at 98%. So, we expect something along those lines here. And frankly, the foliage does not decrease the coverage by, I would say more than a point or so. So it would easily work it'd be expected to work if we come in with those kind of numbers. I provided you with a quick update, written report on our civil work, as we call it, for the tower sites. And I don't have to go through all the details on the first page here, but we provided a quick recap of what was done at each site, just to refresh everyone's memory. And things have gone well. At Coon Rapids, we bought the U shelter and got it put in place. Got new electrical service put in, a bunch of wiring updates inside the building, new 25 kW generator, 500 gallon propane tank, and quite a bit of cable management work, both inside and outside the building, grounding, along with some maintenance on the HVAC units. And a fair amount of this work was done with local contractors, which was our intent. At the Manning site, of course, not quite as much work to do, but we were able to use the existing 48-volt power plant there, which ended up saving some money. Outdoor cable management, interior cable management work done by Jason and myself, which was a fun little project. So that all went well. And then at Lanesboro, Jason and I call it our favorite little site. We found this old tower and shelter and revamped the whole thing and brought it back to life in the brand new radio system. So again, there's a list of all the things that were done here, and quite a bit of it was done with local contractors as well. So that turned out really nice. And on the latter pages of this document, you can see some photos of some of the work that was done out there. And I don't know if any of you have had a chance to drive by any of these locations. I'm sure you have at some point or other, but we're very happy with the way things turned out. So we have some remaining work, not a lot, but one of the interesting things about this new radio system, the Motorola system has we'll call it a built-in alarm transport mechanism through the microwave system. And at each of the sites, we can connect different devices into this alarm system, and it'll get transported back to the dispatch center. Motorola is doing this. The system is there in the first place to monitor all the radio system equipment, and that goes directly to their network center down in the outskirts of Chicago. Anyway, the generators, for example, all have outputs for alarm, for whether it's running or if there's problems with it. We've also got the HVAC units that we can tell, monitor the temperature in the building and so forth, along with other typical alarm stuff. So we're in the process of trying to interface those devices to the Motorola alarm system. And we've got a little bit of work to figure out how to do that. But we expect to get that accomplished. At Lanesboro, we have a little more grounding work to do. We had hired Trillium to come in and do the grounding, which they did, but it was at some point after they had started their work or completed their work that we ended up expanding the fence. And so we're going to have them come back sometime this spring to finish that up. And then at Coon Rapids, just a couple cleanup details there. I think that's about it. So I too would entertain any questions from the group on the work that we've done here.
The proximity of the propane tank to the building. Is there a standard code on distance there?
Yes.
Okay.
It's 10 feet.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I have driven by the Lanesboro site, and you're right, that's kind of a cute little site. Been resurrected from the dead, and I'm glad to see it's back in use. The But at the Coon Rapids side, I can't see up there on the tower. It's a little too much for me to drive up there yet.
Yeah, the standard is 10 feet. So we use that for the sites.
Okay, is that one reason why we had to expand that fence?
Not necessarily, well, yes, would be the short answer, but we wanted, the fence that was there before only protected the tower itself, and we wanted to include the whole compound. So we brought it out forward far enough to encompass everything, and then it allows you to, if need be, to drive in with the vehicle and be inside the fence line for access and loading and unloading equipment and so forth.
You talked about the alarms. The alarm of generator failure, is that also one of those that gets
Yes.
sent in? Okay.
Yes, it'll tell you, for example, if the power goes out and the generator didn't start. I mean, frankly, it'll tell you when the power goes out and the generator did start as well.
And it'll tell you then when it's trying to exercise itself, I assume it's on a timing that.
Correct.
It failed there also. Okay, thanks, Rick.
You're welcome.
I have a question on the coverage. So what is the expectations for coverage on the borders with other counties? Is it going to, is the expectation to be, say, M64 in that we border with Crawford County? Is that it, or is it a mile past that so that the fire districts and that have coverage, or what? Can you kind of explain that? And Ralston would be another one would kind of be, maybe out of tower, this site.
Dave, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not as familiar with the county itself to be able to speak to specific areas. I mean, our coverage guarantee is 95% of the county. The surrounding areas that we're doing in the fire districts, we're doing that. We've added it to the coverage testing at Jason's request, and we're providing that for informational purposes, but it's not part of the coverage guarantee from that perspective. But we are going to test it, so we'll know what's there.
If I can jump in on that.
Please.
What Dave said is true. The coverage guarantee is for within the borders of the county. However, if you look at the tower site plan, and I guess we'll give Jason credit for this. Yep. You've got the Manning site, which is, sitting down in the southwest corner of the county, and the Coon Rapids site in the southeast corner of the county. You're going to have significant footprint outside of the county. And that was done for the very reason to provide additional coverage down in those areas and support those fire districts. You're going to have some of that with the Lanesboro site as well, being only, I don't know, what is it, 2 miles or 3 miles south of the border up in that neck of the woods. Now, we did not put a tower up in the northwest corner of the county, but the Carroll site being located somewhat west and somewhat north within the general county borders certainly provides significant coverage up to and outside of the county up in that neck of the woods. So
yeah, I would, if I could, I'd take that a step further too, and give you guys a pat on the back as well, Ray and Jason. The original system design did not have omnidirectional antennas, which is going to provide that overlapping coverage into surrounding areas by having the omnidirectional versus directional antennas, which would have directed that traffic back into the county. So by having the omnidirectional, it's going to help you in those outlying areas surrounding the tower versus just back into the county. So credit to Jason and Ray for insisting on omnis.
Thank you, Dave. the other thing that I'll say is one, on the baseline coverage, I've been all over the county before any towers of ours were built, and places like Ralston had very good on-street coverage. There's other state tower sites that provide coverage in those areas. In addition, Calhoun County has signed on as an S6 county. They'll be building their own tower sites. We'll work with Calhoun County to exchange our talk groups to work on their towers, their talk groups to work on our towers. And Sac County is investigating doing the same thing very, very hard. And we'll also work with them. I know that the Lanesboro site, for example, will put coverage into the Auburn area. So we'll be working with the surrounding counties that also sign on to be S6 counties to exchange that sort of thing with them, with the understanding that they're not going to rely on our towers for their sole coverage or something. Just like we've explained to you guys in the past, a county that comes in and doesn't have a great deal of interest, or not, I shouldn't say interest, investment into their own sites, can't just, use our towers without some sort of compensation coming our direction. And we've had to have that conversation with a neighboring county also who started to make assumptions. And so we made sure to be clear with that. But does that kind of answer the questions, Dean, as far as what we are expecting?
Well, yeah, yes and no, I guess. A particular incident that comes to my mind is right off. It's fairly hilly out in western Carroll County that borders with Crawford County, and the particular instance that I'm talking about was a cornfield fire that went down over, off of the highway, down over a hill, and the firemen that were fighting the fire had no contact with fire trucks that were on top of the hill, that were on M64. And so, I'd hate to think that, we haven't remedied that situation, I guess.
Well, we're going to have a couple of different ways to deal with stuff like that. As part of our channel layout, there's going to be some direct digital 700 channels. They're universal statewide, that the state has set aside for use for anybody that's on system. Those will be part of their main first channel bank, and they'll be able to switch to those so they're talking radio to radio. They don't have to rely on hitting a tower in order to do those types of communications.
Okay.
And then trucks are still going to have mobile coverage. So when we're talking about this coverage testing, please understand it is on street portable coverage at 95% coverage area. So we know there's going to be some areas where a portable isn't going to get out anymore. It's one of the reasons why we included repeaters for deputy cars, because we don't want them to be inside a house with a domestic call, for example, and not be able to hit back to dispatch. So they've got in-car repeaters. The in-building type stuff for a fire department, that sort of stuff we direct to those direct channels. We put those on the direct channel so that, again, we have a vital situation. We got people in air packs inside a building. They need to communicate to the safety officer or the incident commander on the outside. They're going to do so on a direct channel. And because it's digital, because it is 700, it's going to penetrate buildings well. And it should be very usable for that purpose. And then after the coverage testing is done, we're going to know if there are any trouble spots. We're going to know exactly where they might be, and the fire departments are going to know where they might be. So they're not wondering, do we have coverage here or not? If they have a little trouble spot somewhere, they're going to be acutely aware of it, because as part of the training or as part of the follow-up to training, we're going to let them know where those things exist, because we didn't want to spend, another several $1 million in order to try to make it 100% coverage, right? Because at some point it just diminishing returns enters in. And so we have to accept a little bit of coverage issues, but we do that with our cell phones and all that kind of stuff today. It's just the way of radio systems. There's always going to be something where we can't cover, but we're going to have plans in place to deal with them.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Go ahead, Jason.
Oh, I was just going to ask the same thing, and then if not, I was just going to go through what we've got coming up from a county perspective going forward. But if there's another question for Ray, I'll pause.
Go ahead, Jake.
Okay, hearing none. So like Dave stole my thunder, Lanesboro's on air. I've been out there pushing my radio button and forcing my radio to go to that tower to see where I can hit it at, and had that experience. You know, start picking it up just outside of Carroll, just north of Carroll, which is pretty good for the size of tower that it is. Drove around Breda, and my radio kept on wanting to, you know, kind of bounce between Carroll and Lanesboro. So that's good. The tower signal's coming from two different angles. So if a building's blocking the signal on one side, you get it from another kind of thing. And somebody with the state who went on to a state wide talk group, which has to be allowed to work on our towers, did some of his own testing and was able to ping the darn thing from Highway 20 and early. So, you know, there's other sites that provide better coverage for that area, but it's interesting to know that you can hit the tower from that far away. I'm sure he was kind of on a hill or something, but and in addition to that excitement, we've got the trainer coming up March 20th and 21st. Will be a weekend, scheduled at a weekend so that we could catch the volunteer folks during their availability. And we've got about 15, I think, attendees going to be attending that class, myself, and then representatives from dispatch, law enforcement, fire, and EMS. Will all be in attendance, and they'll all assist us with training the end users when that starts. We've got the coverage and acceptance testing. The county, I'll be providing 2 vehicles through the sheriff's office, along with 2 drivers, probably myself for a lot of the time, and a sheriff's deputy or the sheriff himself, whomever is available. And we'll be driving the test tiles throughout the entire county to get that done. I think Ray is also going to be in county, at least for a portion of that testing, to assist with observing, so that I can be in one vehicle, Ray can maybe be in another, observing the tests and keeping everybody honest, which I'm sure isn't going to be an issue. We're working with First Wireless, who's our radio shop and who Motorola is subcontracted to provide the programming of existing radios, as well as all the new radios in the system. So we're coordinating that, and we'll have radios programmed up and available during the train the trainer class, so that all those people that are going to be trainers get radios in their hands, they get experience using them, navigating them, and that sort of thing, so that they can help train other people to do so. After the coverage and acceptance testing, we're going to schedule end user training. So that's when stuff's starting to get real, because we're going to be going systematically throughout the county, training 1 or 2 fire departments at a time. And we'll be programming that department's radios that day. And then we'll have all of their new portables that will be brought to the training with us. And then we'll train them and walk away, and they'll be cut over to the new system. And so that'll take place probably over a couple, maybe 2.5 week period, provided we can get enough of the day schedule to do it in that time. And we're up kind of against the clock here, because I want to make sure that we get this done before harvest, or not harvest, excuse me, definitely before harvest, before planting really kicks off. Because we want to make sure that those that are either farmers themselves or involved in the agricultural industry are not tied up with the demands of their professions during that time. We want everybody to be able to attend the training. So we've got that, and then we'll also be doing training with the schools. So we'll be doing training with the main people that work in the offices that'll have the most access to the school alert radios. And then also we've got kind of a side gig here to train the Manning School, as they have purchased radios to put into their buses, and I think a couple of portables as well. So kind of similar to what Glidden has done. I think I've reported that this Glidden School District put their buses on. So they've actually been operating on systems since the beginning of the school year. And that seems to be going well for them. We've heard no complaints, and we've reached out or had the radio vendor reach out to check on that. So, you know, it's a lot of stuff to do between now and the end, so to speak. But all very good stuff, and we're excited to kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel that doesn't appear to be a train anymore.
Okay, is there any other questions for Jason or Ray or anybody? Good report. It seems like we're all online here to get this thing wrapped up here shortly. So I appreciate the input and the report back to the board here.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Hey, Rich.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to connect on Zoom now, if it's possible.
A lot for you. If you're going to hang up your phone, otherwise we'll get echoing too.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Must be in. I hear him echoing.
There he is.
Hi, Gene.
Okay.
He's back.
Yeah, you know, I don't ever hardly have any internet problems down here, but evidently I did this morning.
Yeah.
So, all right, next we'll have the ambulance update. Is he there?
Morning, Carroll. I'm here, Gene.
Okay. Good morning. How are you today?
Pat, how are you guys all doing?
I'm doing great now that I'm back online here.
Well, just a little update of what's been going on down there at the service. I'm going through the budget. Had a listed of hoping to get in $950,000 from patient billing. Right now, we're right on point with that. We're so close to it that I can't believe it's that scary. So that's looking pretty good. And as Courtney sent you guys, been keeping track of reports this year and last year, and these are exact numbers. So that's the first time that's been done. And on the back pages are kind of what some of the calls we go to are to every month. Thing that I find interesting is how many non-transports we do. In February, we had 174 calls out of Carroll office. 75 of them were non-transports. So that's,
Those don't pay real well.
those don't pay real well. Yeah, you're right. But we got to go.
Yep.
So just going through the budget, wages are doing pretty good on my budget line. COVID's got them screwed up a little bit, which is hard to believe, we all know, but I think I'll be all right on them. Vehicle repairs. We had that one ambulance, that last van we have up here, go through the speed reduction thing again. Even though it's not supposed to reduce speed, it does, and nobody can tell us why it does. Got a hold of somebody from EPA. They give me this BJ Lackey from General Motors. They thought the catalytic converters might be an issue. So under warranty, they did change the catalytic converters. We did not get charged anything for the catalytic converters or the labor. Had a couple other things we had to have done, which we, paid for. But we got that done for no charge. So we're not sure if it's fixed yet, but we're driving it and we hope it is. If not, I don't know what we're going to do next. We'll get back a hold of them and see what we can do. You guys remember about a year or so ago, I was here with a plan that was very expensive to do some checks on some of our equipment, the monitors and the Lucas devices and stuff like that. And I've got a different company now. And to put it this way, the Lucas or the LifePak 15 heart monitors, they were charging us $1,575 a machine. That included batteries. I'm now down to $250 with this company. It doesn't include batteries, which are about $400 or $450 to $500 a piece. So we're still gonna save some money. And on the Lucas devices, they're gonna charge me $22.50, where the other company was charging just under $7,000. So they need to be checked every now and then, and save a whole lot of money on that. So the other issues that I got right now is Medic 4 and 5 have old heart monitors that you can't even get worked on anymore. They're old LifePak 12s. We get a new heart monitor every 3 years when we get a new rig. I'm not sure if those two monitors will make it that long. I am looking, and I got people looking for me to see if we can find a used ones. I found a 4-year-old used one for $2,000 less than a new one. So we ain't not gonna play that game. So I'm still looking, they're still running, but I may have an issue with that I'm gonna have to take care of in a hurry. The other thing on the budget is our rent. We'll have to amend that one of these days. We're gonna be 4,800 short. We raised it to try to get more people to sign up for EMP classes, especially in Manning. I've asked Manning if they, and apparently nobody has. So we're just doing the best we can on that. The next issue I got is we have a paramedic giving up his full-time position. Justin Egan has been there 14 years, and he's been doing carpentry on the side, and he wants to go off and do his carpentry business. So he's going to do that. He still says he's going to work for us part-time. And I've had 3 or 4 people apply for the job, some very good ones, and not this week, next week, I should have the position filled again with another paramedic. And right now, as far as the COVID stuff, we're doing well. Everybody that could got vaccinated. We had a couple that couldn't because they were just coming off COVID, and they are going to try to get it scheduled when they can. And dispatch does a good job of telling us, but we've been doing very good with COVID patients lately. And the last thing, I talked to Scott the other day, and we're talking about MEs. You guys appointed Justin, Ken, and Marissa. They never got the training done. They were going to last April when COVID hit. State shut them down. I'm trying to get the state to tell me when they can come down and do the training, and I'm getting to run around on that. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. And that's what I got in a nutshell. Got any questions?
In regard to your volunteers and stuff, over at Manning, there is a bill, and I've talked to Bess about this for this last year. In the past, there's been a tax credit for first responders and stuff like that, and firemen of $100 in the state. There is a bill in there. I think that's going to change that to $200. So that's something to maybe help encourage more volunteers and stuff. So I'll let you know if that gets all the way through. I don't know if the governor signed or if it's gone through both houses, but I know it has passed one of them. So it's not enough yet, but it's a step in the right direction. You might be able to utilize that to encourage more volunteers.
That will help. The other thing with Manning is they're looking for somebody to do the whole class there. They can do their book stuff online, but the hands-on stuff, they may have to go to a different location, and a few of them don't like that. So they've got to kind of give a little give and take, but it's all.
Okay. Is there any other questions for Daryl?
Yeah, I have one thing, and this is a year old plus. Just before COVID-19 hit, I'd been contacted by a individual from West Side, and had interest in maybe working out a deal where the ambulance could take calls from West Side. I think we're talking about 4 or 5. That's kind of the gist I remember out of it. And we are basically a quarter mile from Main Street. So there is some sense to that, but I also know I don't want to step in on Crawford County in any way. I don't think they have a problem with it. They've got, according to this individual, they have a similar situation in Arthur, Iowa, going on up there, and they do what I don't know which county they go to there. But anyway, long story short, that conversation started, and then COVID-19 hit, and it's kind of, everybody's backed off of it. I think I would like to turn it over to Stephanie and Scott and Daryl, and Daryl kind of knows part of it. If I'll give them the contact, I'll stay involved if they want me to. I have no problem with helping with it. I think we should consider it, look into it, see what the pluses are and the minuses, because I'm sure there's pros and cons to both of this. I don't know what it costs to run an ambulance program, and then to add more to it is going to bring more debt. It doesn't always pay. That might be a community that might pay because that far away when they call, I would say transport is probably more than likely, but not always. So I would like Daryl and Scott and Steph to grab a hold of that and see where they go. I'll give them the contact, and if they want me to stay involved, I will. If not, I'll gladly step away from it. But I did see the guy about 2 weeks ago, and I told him that we would bring it back up again, and he's been very understanding because he said that things have went so sideways since then. So he's very understanding with it. So I'll get that part started, hand it off to them, and let them do their own investigation and see where it leads them.
Okay. Daryl, I appreciate your login here of where the calls are at and what's communities and stuff. I hope you continue to do that. I may call on that information at a later time again. So if that's always available, right?
Yep, now that I got it set up, it's not a problem to keep doing it every day. So Jason sends me the paperwork, and I'll keep doing it just for us too.
Okay. Any other questions for Daryl? If not, thank you, Daryl. Have a good day.
You guys are a great one.
Okay, secondary roads.
Morning. Couple things on the list today. First one is approving the contract with Norris Asphalt for our H main resurfacing project. Remember, we awarded the project to them last week. The contractor has signed that contract digitally in Doc Express. And you had given me we've done a resolution last week to allow me to sign that. So now it's just back into actually physically approving that contract today with Norris. Questions on what that entails?
Is there any, the contract is a standard contract, Zach?
Standard DOT contract, nothing different from what we would have seen in years past. When they went electronic or digital with these, the format and everything else is still the same. They just have an electronic page on the back where the signatures go, basically.
Okay. I will make a motion to approve the contract with Norris Asphalt for the resurfacing project on N33. Is there a second to that? Okay, it's been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we have review and approve trailer quotes.
Yes, I reached out to a couple local vendors in regard to looking for a deck over trailer for us for hauling multiple things on, mostly pipe, over pipe, and drain pipe when we're working, and got quotes on basically on 10,000-pound trailers as well as 14,000-pound trailers. We originally were looking for just a 10,000-pound trailer, but the incremental cost difference to go to the 14,000-pound was about only a little over $500 on the low quote. For that, I think it's well worth going to the 14,000-pound trailer. So I guess my recommendation would be getting the H&H 14,000-pound deck over trailer for the amount of $5,526.
That's through Olson's, right?
Through Olson, that's correct.
Is there a motion to approve that quote, approval of that purchase?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Anything else, Zach?
That's it. Starting to get a little nicer out. I don't know if there's, I'm sure there's places where there's frost in the ground yet, but many places I believe it's probably out. So far the roads are staying in reasonably decent shape for that process going, so can't complain.
I agree with you. I drove around the other day and the roads are looking really good.
Yeah, the roads are looking really good up in this part of the county as well. And a lot of good comments about the way the snow was handled this year and the condition of the roads today. So hopefully we're into the clear for spring.
I hope you're right.
I have one thing, Zach, I don't know if this is a localized thing. They said they were, seems they were changing bridge weight limits signs. Is that just a localized thing, or are we revealing a lot of bridges?
So this legislation happened a couple years ago, but the special haul vehicles. And so these are basically what really was affected is these 6 and 7 axle straight trucks are able to carry a lot more weight than the standard straight truck was, up to almost approaching 40 ton. And some of our bridges just weren't made for those. They weren't built for that. So every county in the state has had to go through this process and evaluate those bridges for those new vehicles, those new axle configurations, if you would say. And there's a significant amount of bridges that will be posted for those trucks. I believe it's neighborhood 60 bridges. I believe all but one are on gravel, and they will be posted, to what their full capability is. So they still be able to haul the same trucks that were transversing before. The standard straight truck will still be able to traverse that bridge like it was before. The condition of the bridges didn't change. This was strictly a posting based on the new trucks and the new weights with those axle configurations that are out there. So very rare that we see those 7 axle trucks, 6 and 7 axle trucks. Even like some of the concrete trucks are generally 5 axle. We don't see a whole lot of them. There are a few around, but very, very few. So I don't think it will substantially affect the travel for most everybody that's out there. It could come up if there was like our asphalt project. Some of those asphalt trucks, they do have large those 6 or 7 axle trucks sometimes that they use. Something that just has to be some route planning done when you have a situation like that. So we're starting the process to post some of those bridges. Hopefully we'll have that done here by early summer.
So is their weight limit different, than a regular truck?
Regular straight truck would be, so like a regular straight truck, I believe, don't quote me on this, but I think it's like 27 ton, 27 to 28 ton is your max for a 4-axle straight truck. But you can go up to, I think it's 38 ton with one of these 7-axle straight trucks. So and it all depends on axle configuration of how they're laid out and how many axles they have. But it's a significant increase, and depending on the structure, what's the span of the bridge and how it's constructed, it makes a significant difference. Yep.
Zach, do you know what that's gonna cost us to repost all those bridges? I know that's the big problem that there's always been talked about with the secondary roads through ISAC and stuff. They talked about the cost this is gonna be.
Just material cost and signs and posts, I'd say between $15,000 and $20,000.
Yeah, that's the big kicker with as few trucks there is around here, so.
I know there was a push to try to change the legislation to only go this route on paved roads rather than the gravel roads. Because that's normally where you'd see some more of this traffic, and that failed to get through legislation. That would have been a huge win if we could have got that, but it didn't pass, and I think the ship sailed now.
Yeah. Dee?
But Zach, some of these mega dry fertilizer or manure spreaders are exceeding 40 ton. What about those? Aren't those going to be an issue in the future?
Well, they could, but you start getting to the ag exempt side of that too, and there's a whole other wrinkle. So it's hard. And that's where they're definitely putting more stress on our roads and our bridges than some of the other vehicles that are traveling out there. So it's a concern, and that's where there's factor of safety built into these ratings. That's how it works. But you got to draw the line somewhere, and that's kind of where we're at with what we have for these ratings.
Okay. Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have is the approval of the payables. Does anybody have any questions on the payables? Courtney, our natural gas provider there is Alliant, isn't it?
Yes,
And this bill we had, is that for up to what date?
I have no idea. I'd have to
Okay.
look.
Well, I think that's one we need to watch. I think we better be prepared for a big hit. We've got natural gas bills coming out down here that normally have been $200 a month are turning into $500 and $700 a month due to this stuff that happened here a couple weeks ago. So just be prepared for that. If there's no other questions on the payables, we're in order for a motion to approve or deny.
Make a motion, we approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the payables. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we have a HIPAA discussion. Dalton?
How's it going? We have Gannon in the meeting here. If you remember him, he was the first company I presented to you. After getting the quote from last week, he wanted to be able to get us something more comparable to what we were quoted. So basically, he's quoting us apples to apples, the company that we had last week, Gannon is. And he's going to explain the differences between what he quoted us originally and this quote. Gannon, if you want to take over, go ahead.
Sounds good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, good morning, everyone, and I'm glad you gave us another opportunity to have or extend the discussion from a previous proposal that we put together. And after sitting through the presentation last week, I wanted to follow up with Dalton to make sure that we put everything as close to apples as possible. Just from not only a pricing perspective, but and obviously the deliverables side of things too, and how heavily involved on the HIPAA side that we would be. So essentially the difference in the pricing that we put together previously was based upon the discussion with Dalton on what expertise and what resources were currently available within the county on your HIPAA compliance. Now, having multiple clients within counties here in Iowa, we understand that there is a lot that goes into it, especially developing initially a program and then the resources that go into it. So essentially the price change is really, after talking with Dalton again, is accepting more of the responsibilities on the Carroll County end from a heavy lifting perspective. I like to relate it to building a house. I used to build houses beforehand, and I can't talk too loud because my wife might hear me. But I would take on some of the responsibilities when we were building our house of saying, you know what, I've done cabinets before. I'll take on that responsibility. We don't necessarily do this through our contractor because we can save X amount of dollars from a total perspective. But we come to find out is that there are a lot more nooks and crannies to have to take care of and to leverage to get to where you need to be from a compliance standard. Now, is this lower level of service? And I don't like saying lower level of service because we're still providing those services. It's just our involvement is less, and Carroll County and accepting some more of the responsibility on some of the heavy lifting and the legwork. So that's really essentially where those changes take place from a cost perspective.
Does anybody have any questions for Gannon about this? He doesn't know, so I'll be getting a quote out to the supervisors that Gannon had sent me, so you can see that apples to apples quote, and hopefully next week we can maybe get a decision on what we want to do here. I just want to cover all the bases and make sure that we're getting somebody that's going to cover what we need as a county, and then not pay too much for it in the same process. So. No further questions. Thank you, Gannon, for your time.
Yeah, and one last thing, I apologize. It really comes down to that time that we had discussed, Dalton. Now, do you have enough time for, 2 days of full-on HIPAA compliance work each month? But yeah, I mean, 90% of our counties are on the select package, to where there are some benefits from us providing some of the legwork. But with our program, you can move up and down depending on the resources and the time you have too, Dalton. So I appreciate your guys' time again, and look forward to hearing back.
Dan, I have one question before you run. If we start off with a lower plan, and in 4 months we decide that we might be in a little bit more than we want, can we upgrade at that time?
Absolutely.
Okay. I just want to make sure that base is open. We have some other things in the works that we could find time maybe to do a little HIPAA work, but it may not work out that way. So that's where I'm headed here. I think we're going to use an opportunity to try to help that, but like I said, it might not work.
No, absolutely, and we're fluid on that end, so we can change things as needed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Anything else, Dalton?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Yeah.
So our gas bill went up about $700.
Okay, well, I know some of them, hopefully that's where it stays at, so.
For reference, we had 2 of our outlying sheds. We're gonna have to.
I think we've got our bill and we paid for it, so.
Okay. All right, next we'll go to approval of plats. There's 2 of them there. One, they're just changing around acreage, and the other one, I think they're splitting up part of the farm due to an estate, breaking down another plat for down to 10 acres or something like that. So, or 20 acres.
Well, hearing nothing else, I make a motion, we approve the plat for today.
Is there a second?
Oh, they look good to me. I'll go ahead and second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next is update forms for community development block grant for home buyer assistance. This just needs to be approved, right, Courtney? This is for,
Yes, so I think I sent you the email that Carla sent me about this housing program. They've had a lot of success. They've already secured their first 5 clients. So what they're wanting to do is to amend this program to change the quantity of projects from 5 to 9. So it's my understanding there will be no additional request of monies from the county or anything like that. We just need to change. She's saying there will be no change in the administrative budget on the contract amendment. So, and she did provide me a number. If any of you have a question, we can call her before we make a decision. But I think that's what they're trying to do.
We were actually out the advertising fees only on this. That's all we have invested in it. As I talked to them, they thought they were going to be stopped at 5. That's what they thought they had originally interest in. These stopped them up. And I think that the window's here, and I think it's just a good time to take advantage of it. So.
well, yeah, I think that's great that they're able to make that dollar stretch out to more projects, which is a good deal. I did notice that on that, what you sent us, it appears like all those homes have been in Carroll, because this was a county-wide thing, if I remember right. So.
Yeah, and that's funny because this program's been around and there was not much interest in it until we did it countywide. And the reason we did that was so we could use the whole county to get 5. And then all of a sudden here they all come from within town. So it's kind of timing's about everything. So.
Well, and I think you look around, there's not a lot of, there's not an overabundance of houses for sale right now where people can do this.
That's true. Very true.
So I'm in favor of doing it. So first, we probably need approval of the project amendment. If there's any further discussion, otherwise we can go ahead and approve this project amendment. I'll make a motion to approve the project amendment.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Okay, next we have is the signature authorization, being with change of chairs. We need to change the signatory. Is there a motion to that effect?
I'll make that motion that we authorize the new chair to sign.
I'll second that motion.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, next is we have a fireworks permit for Carroll Country Club. Don't seem like we should be doing those yet, but we are.
That's kind of what I thought, Gene. But
Well,
whatever.
I guess it's better being being timely than doing it the last minute, right?
I think they were early last year too, but you know, that's okay.
Yeah, well,
Last minute.
one thing about them doing this makes us look forward to something.
That's right.
With this COVID thing.
This is something to look forward to.
I'll make a motion to approve the fireworks permit for the Carroll Country Club on July 4th of 2021.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Contrary, motion carried. Courtney, I will be up later this afternoon to sign documentation, okay? All right, committee reports.
I will go first.
Okay,
On the second Tuesday, I jumped in and joined Gene on the CADC Zoom meeting. It was I thought it was a good meeting. This for the first one I was at, I thought it was a really good meeting. The gist of it all was all the cities and the county gave their report. A lot of things going on around the county, infrastructure to homes, to daycares, to libraries, a lot of good things going on. Other than that, then the next thing that I had spent a lot of time on mental health last week, lots of phone calls. I've been reading up on crisis centers and their value and their need, and it's been a very educational week. I'm picking like a subject each week and trying to read about it and get a good, better understanding of it. Next week, I will, while we're on mental health, I talked to Dawn 2 or 3 times, and one of the times she will be here next week to give us an update and report. And also, if you have any questions, please have them ready. She will be here, and I did tell her after the public hearing, so that way we can spend as much time and not feel like we have to push her on fast if we need to, wherever the questions take us. Anyway. And that was pretty much it for last week. As I have a Iowa workforce meeting this afternoon. That is the CEOs of all 99 counties. That's pretty slow at best. I've been doing the paper, the radio. I'm also doing a conference call between Region 12 and the Northwest Iowa COG. This is over a mental health building. We're looking at some avenues, maybe some block grants. And Chris and I are going to be doing some question answering, asking of the Northwest region of what they have available, what programs they don't have available. Other than that, that's all I have this week and last week.
Last week,
I did listen in on those Zoom ISAC question answer sessions, those hour-long sessions. Wednesday, I met with Mary Whittree at the landfill. Speaking of landfill, tomorrow morning at 6:30, there is a monthly landfill meeting. Last Friday, I spent 4 hours with Jason Christensen at Swan Lake, drove around all the county properties. And this week I have the landfill tomorrow and more Zoom meetings for ISAC base camp.
Thank you. I can go next. As Rich said, that last Tuesday at CADC, they basically was all community updates, the cities, and I did an update for the county, and I covered basically the budget, ISIX radio system, and our asphalt projects and a few other things. Then on Thursday, I sat through the ISAC exhibit hall, and on Sunday, I was tied up a couple times when some of these meetings were, so kind of fortunate when these things are recorded, you can go back and listen to them. So I did listen on a legislative forum on Sunday, which was Saturday, and I also listened to the human resource one on ISAC on Sunday also. This week I have basically ISAC is the supervisor session on Wednesday. I plan on attending that, and that is about all I have this week at this point in time.
Okay, I can go last year, I guess, today. I had no official meetings last week, but spent a lot of time with the Board of Health and about the vaccine and the vaccine process, talking with other counties about public health, and it's really kind of crazy how we're going about our vaccination process in the state of Iowa. If Carroll County at 20,000 population is getting 300 doses of vaccine through public health, but so is Calhoun County and Sac County, who have half the population that we did. And so we're seeing an excess of vaccine in those counties, and thereby a lot of people are going there to get their vaccination shot, and which is only good. I mean, I wish they would probably be a little bit more equal and take some of those and make it a little more equitable as far as population is concerned, so that we could cover a lot more of our 75 and up in Carroll County. Last time I heard that through one of the, I'm not sure which clinic it was, they're at 89, and it's only limited by the fact that there's way more demand than there is supply coming to the county. So it's hopefully things will loosen up a little bit here. I think things are going to get loosened up a little bit. I know that some of the vaccine through Hy-Vee was originally Moderna, and then they switched to Pfizer. Pfizer was the vaccine that was allotted to Walgreens, and now the last couple of weeks they've been getting Pfizer, and then an email out this morning from Public Health says that they're going to be getting a limited number of Moderna vaccine as well. So it's kind of all over the place, really, and it's unfortunate that it is that way, but there are definitely options to get the vaccine, and there is a phone number now. I'm not sure that this has always been out, but if you are over the age of 75, please call 712-794-5835 to get an appointment. So for those that are up over 75, you can call that number. If you're under 60, if you're 65 and older, Hy-Vee seems to be the best bet right now in the county. So that's pretty much what I did last week. This week, I've got a conservation board meeting tonight, and I'm sure there'll be more Board of Health issues going on as we go forward.
Thank you, Dean. Courtney, do you have anything?
No,
Any comments from those in attendance, either in person or online?
Nope, there's no comments.
Okay. As I said, Courtney, I'll be up later to sign documents. What's on next week? We have the budget hearing, and Rolling Hills will be there. Anything else?
just probably HIPAA discussion again.
Okay. All right. Is there any other questions or anything else? If not, we're order for a motion to adjourn.
So
Okay, it's been moved and second. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, motion carried. Sorry about the detain here this morning. Like I said, with the internet, I